Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of York on this June 3rd. We are the 22nd largest Rotary Club in the world, and we're thrilled that you're here with us today in this online environment. Our opening song will be Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, appropriate for today's program, performed by Deb Harrison, and our invocation will be provided by Glenn Miller. Deb.
Bottle of white, a bottle of red, perhaps a bottle of rosé instead. We'll get a table near the street in our old familiar place, you and I, face to face. A bottle of red, a bottle of white, it all depends upon your appetite. I'll meet you anytime you want in our Italian restaurant. Glenn.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Rotarians. Please join me in prayer. God of all hopefulness, Lord of all joy, we turn to you today with feelings both of gratitude and of lament. We are grateful as we enter a new month for the warmth of the sun and signs of summer emerging. We are grateful as we make tentative steps to emerge from these days of isolation back into the world. We're grateful for businesses that have survived this difficult time and are now part of this reemergence. Yet we lament what we see in the world, especially in these past few days and weeks. We lament the many lives lost to this insidious virus, especially as we crossed the grim milestone of 100,000 deaths in our country. We lament yet another individual life, the life of Floyd George, so unjustly taken, and the outrage it has rightly sparked throughout our nation. And we lament how those cries for justice and for change, in so many ways, continue to be met with silence or with acts and words far worse than silence. We cannot change the whole world, but we can change ourselves and our community. Transform our own hearts, O Lord, and then use us to transform our neighbors and our community. As Rotary has so often been a catalyst for change, use us here in our place and time to be a voice of justice, truth, kindness, and love. To you, the God of love and life, the God of justice and truth, the one God of many names, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Glenn. And thank you, Deb. Appreciate it today. Before we begin today, I would like to take a moment to recognize a couple of former Rotarians in our club who have passed away since last Memorial Day. Past President and Member Emeritus Bill Carter passed away on June 21st, 2019. And past member Brian Kottkamp passed away on September 25th, 2019. Both were very active members of our club and of the community. And we want to remember that they are gone, but not forgotten. On to some announcements today. First and foremost, we are always looking for program ideas, and I'm going to harp on this for the next couple weeks as well. Our programs are an ever-evolving landscape, week to week, day to day almost sometimes, and many thanks to Mike Summers for his very hard work in organizing all of our speakers and presentations. So please do your part and get program ideas to Mike so that we can make sure we have a lot of good programs coming up until we're able to get back to the Country Club of York and our more normal routine, whenever that might be. Thanks again, Mike, for all you're doing. Same thing with poll ideas. We're absolutely looking for new poll ideas every week. Right now, I would love to get your feedback on future polls for June 17th and June 24th. I need some ideas for those two meetings. Whether they're funny, whether they're serious, whether they're interesting, doesn't matter. Please just send me your ideas and we'll try to incorporate those into the program as best we can for the polls. And thanks to everybody who's participating in the polls. And we'll get to today's poll in a few minutes. All right, a quick reminder, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. The RI convention is now an online virtual convention. In fact, I was originally planning to travel to Hawaii this Friday to attend the convention in Honolulu. Unfortunately, I am not going to Hawaii and I will be working just like I would be otherwise for the next few weeks. But the RI convention will now be online between June 20th and June 26th. It's an opportunity to connect with Rotary, with other Rotarians all across the country, and hopefully you can be inspired by the innovation that is Rotary and celebrate Rotary's resilience in the face of the COVID pandemic. Again, please check it out on either the district's newsletter, there's a lot of information there, or on the RI website. And if you're able to participate in some or all of the convention, it would be greatly appreciated from our end, as we can't be there in person this year. Okay, so for the last several months, we've all been sort of completely entwined with the COVID pandemic. It's all we've talked about. It's been basically the bulk of the conversations that we've had with each other and with many people for several months now. But one of the things that's still ongoing in the background is Rotary's effort to eradicate polio. And of course, that's kind of taken a back seat to COVID, but we're hoping to bring that back. We've been so close to eradicating polio worldwide, but we still need everyone's help to get that job done. In many areas over the last couple of months, vaccination programs have actually stopped because people just don't want people meeting them that they're not familiar with. And house-to-house visitations to vaccinate children have also been suspended. We don't want to see a resurgence in polio cases later this year because of the stalled efforts in the short term now. So with polio in mind, next Wednesday, June 10th, there is a worldwide effort by RI to have all Rotarians consider donating the cost of that day's lunch, whatever that is for you, from $1 to $100, depending on how nice of a lunch you want to have. If you would consider donating the cost of your lunch that day to the Take Out Polio campaign, that'd be greatly appreciated. This year, the Rotary Polio Fund is about $15 million short, and RI is trying to do everything they can to get that shortfall filled. So donations can be made through the endpolio.org website. And again, next Wednesday, June 10th, we'll be doing what's called the Take Out Polio campaign, and we'll have a little bit more about that again next week. So if you could consider donating, greatly appreciated. President-elect nominee Jackie Summers, who also chairs the club's Service Above Self Committee, is looking for nominations for the Service Above Self Awards. The perfect nominee will have made an impact on the community by going above and beyond what is expected of him or her, or performing an act of heroism. This person will not have received recognition for their actions, but is a role model for others. The committee is considering nominees who have been on the front lines of the COVID pandemic or have sought to raise awareness through peaceful protest. So if you have ideas for recipients or nominees of the Service Above Self Award, please reach out to Jackie. She's working right now. And in fact, if you're able to just enter anybody's name in the chat box today during today's meeting, Jackie's looking for some immediate feedback. So either through the chat box on our GoToWebinar forum or through an email to Jackie as soon as possible. She'd really appreciate the help as she's working with the committee to find some nominees to be recognized very soon. Jackie, thank you and the committee for what you're doing. Now, speaking of peaceful protests, I'd like to just take a minute to acknowledge the protests that have been occurring not only throughout our country, but also here in York. The right to gather and protest is incredibly important and constitutionally protected. As far back as colonial America, citizens gathered to protest the actions of their government. Those protests, when peaceful, must be allowed to continue and should never be overtaken by police or military. If we as citizens lose our right to protest, we'll be no better off than citizens under an authoritarian regime. So please protest. With yesterday being election day, please vote. But as always, please be peaceful about what we're doing. It's a very important thing, and I want to support and recognize all of the folks who have been out protesting peacefully over the last few days and weeks. And finally, today, a quick reminder that our club's annual fundraiser, the largest fundraiser, the golf, tennis, and croquet and cornhole outing, is coming up on September 14th. And with that in mind, I would like to invite Darren Smith to our virtual platform here to make an announcement about that outing. Darren.
Hello, Rotarians. Good afternoon. First off, I want to thank all of you again for your generous support of our Give Local York campaign last month or 2 months ago. I'm sure you all heard this before, but thanks to the efforts of Dee Baker and Megan Given, and especially the donations of all of you, the Rotary Club raised over $26,000 towards the Kiwanis Lake project. That was over 2.5 times what was raised in 2019, which is really something given the economy and what's going on right now. To continue in that spirit of giving, I'm here to update you on the biggest event of our Rotary year, the golf fundraising event. While you've all been lounging at your home, our fundraising committee has been working hard, and we're putting together what we feel is going to be the best day of fun and fundraising that we've ever had. This year, our main project is to support the Kiwanis Lake rehabilitation and dam repair. It's a 5-phase plan, including wildlife management, aeration system, floodgate repair, lights and fountains, and a smart lake with all sorts of new technology. These upgrades are going to go a long way to making a huge difference in the sustainability and the enjoyment for the people of York with that park. To do our part for this, over the next few weeks, your fellow club members and members of the fundraising committee, they're going to be reaching out to you via email and phone for your support. There are many ways that you can participate, including golf, tennis, croquet, even cornhole now. There's, of course, dinner, auctions, all sorts of ways. We're also still planning, to have our dinner even through all of this. So I'm sure you're asking, how are we having a dinner and golf and all these activities with the social distancing? Our expectation right now is that even with the current regulations, we expect them to be relaxed by September 14th, but even if they don't, we still are going to be able to continue on and hold all these events. Many of these activities are even taking place right now. There's golf going on, tennis, and all of that. So it's all happening social distance and without any problems. As far as the dinner, there's so much space at the club, indoors and out. We're pretty confident we're going to make that work as well. So don't worry about buying your tickets now. While we can't guarantee anything, we have a lot of faith that's going to make that happen. So again, I want to thank you for your time and your generous support already and to come. We know you're going to continue in this spirit by answering your phones and emails when we reach out to you to get you signed up for your sponsorships. Again, this year's event's going to be on September 14th, so mark your calendars. And you also need to block out October 5th, which is our rain date, just in case. So thank you all and have a great day.
Thanks, Darren. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing everybody on the 14th of September, or if we're lucky, sometime sooner at the Country Club back for a regular normal meeting. Okay, we're on to today's poll, and our theme, our speaker today are talking about the restaurant industry in New York, and our opening song was Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. So we have a quick poll about restaurants. And Courtney, will you please?
Yes, and Josh, I just took over speaking here for a second. We're getting a little bit of feedback on the line, so I'm just going to launch the poll here myself, and I will turn you back on in 1 minute. So for our poll question, you should see this pop up on your screen. And the question is, I will be visiting a restaurant, and you have 4 choices. During the yellow phase, you'll be sitting outside. During the yellow phase, you'll be sitting inside if the restaurant allows it. Once York County moves to the green phase, or only for takeout. If you could please take a few seconds here, we're gonna give you about 20 more seconds to join the line to answer. 2 more seconds. Okay, and the results are in. So 37% voted once York County moves to the green phase. And the second follow-up was during the yellow phase, sitting outside. So thank you everybody who voted today. We really appreciate it. And now we are going to be moving on to Diane for the Student Merit Scholarships.
Hi everyone. I'm here today to announce our scholarship winners for the 2020 year. First, I really want to thank the committee members who took over 8 hours of their time during Zoom meetings. This was a different type of meeting that we do with the students, but thanks to Renee, it worked out beautifully, and I just want to give them a shout out because it was a long interview process this year. Also, please remember that these scholarships are possible because of donations that are made by our members with vision for the future. And as a member, you can increase the number of scholarships and the value we offer to these students by remembering the Rotary Club of York Student Education Fund in your legacy planning. So with that, we can get started with the first one. We have the Edwin P. Mangold Rotary Scholarship. This scholarship was established in April 2007 from the estate of Rotarian Edwin P. Mangold. This year's recipient is Ann Lawrence. She is a Spring Grove area high school graduate, and she will be attending Columbia University for psychiatry. So congratulations to Ann. The next one is the James C. and Carrie B. Bush Scholarship. This scholarship is made possible from the York County Community Foundation, James C. and Carrie B. Bush Memorial Fund. This year's recipient is Daniela Feitzreitzer. She is a graduate from Central York High School. She will be attending also Columbia University with a biochemistry major. These students are amazing. The next one is the Charles and Alma Deal Scholarship. We have 2 winners this year. This scholarship was made possible from the York County Community Foundation, Charles and Alma Deal Family Fund. The first one is Emily, and I'm not going to pronounce the last name because I know I will screw it up. But Emily is a graduate from William Penn Senior High School. She is going to be attending Temple University also for biochemistry. And the second one is William Molina, graduate from William Penn Senior High School. He will be studying computer science at Widener University. Next, we have the Sanford M. Chronic Scholarship. This is worth $2,000. Our recipient is Megan Dubian, a graduate from Dallastown Area High School. She will be attending Penn State, woohoo, with a business major. And this scholarship is made possible by combining funds from the established Rotary Club of York, one administered by the RCY and the Sandy Chronic Scholarship Fund at the York County Community Foundation. And last but not least, we have the John T. and Paige S. Smith Scholarship. This scholarship is awarded to students studying agriculture in honor of Mr. John Smith's dedication to the York Fair, York County Penn State Extension Office, the York County Agricultural Programs, and Penn State. This scholarship is made possible from the John T. and Paige S. Smith Fund of the York County Community Foundation. This year's recipient is Taylor Cromer. She is a graduate from Southwestern High School and will be studying environmental science at St. Joseph's University. So again, congratulations to all of our winners this year. You amaze us constantly, and we are so very proud, and we know you're going to bring amazing things back to York County. Congratulations. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Diane. Really appreciate it. Good to see you. Okay, we're on to our local business spotlight, and today we're back to spotlighting a for-profit business here in our community. And today the spotlight shines on Power Engineers, and many of you know Rotarian Greg Gramico, who heads up Power Engineers local office on East Market Street. And it is one of Power's 47 offices across the world. Power was founded in 1976, originally from Idaho, and has over 2,600 employees. They're organized into 6 main divisions. Power delivery, which is the power lines that deliver electricity to your home and office. Power generation, think of places like Bruner's Island or Peach Bottom here locally. Environmental engineering, that's permitting and compliance with federal and state requirements. Facilities management, and that is process and packaging primarily for the food and beverage industry. Geospatial work, which is database management and programmatic implementation for public utilities. And government work, that would be architectural and engineering services, both nationally and around the world. Power Engineers also has what they call their Power Foundation, which was created to foster a love for the STEAM fields and student learners. To date, they've donated thousands of dollars to groups including the Engineering Society of York for use in its interactive science program in elementary schools throughout York County. And finally, because of its diverse services, Power was deemed an essential business during the COVID pandemic, but to help maintain the safety and health of its employees, Power has implemented a work from home policy through September of this year. Greg, thank you for being a member of the Rotary Club of York. Thank you for introducing us to Power Engineers, and we look forward to seeing you back in person when we can. Okay, we're on to the point in our program where I get to introduce today's speaker. We're joined by Toni Calderone. Hi, Toni.
Hey, guys.
She is the president of the O.N.E Hospitality Group. Many of you have probably been to Toni's or Aviano's Trattoria or the Cantina. If you have not, please do so. They have excellent food at all of those places. There are also a couple of other locations that Toni has outside of York, and there's also her food truck. So covering all the bases. And if you get a chance, Toni, you can probably touch on this. I believe outdoor opportunities are now back available at your locations, and hopefully you can touch on that a little bit. And if you get a chance, check them out at the Cantina. It's a great place to go have a beer at the outdoor courtyard, grab some dinner. And then, of course, there's also takeout and delivery options as well. So with that said, Toni, welcome, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Hey, thank you so much. First of all, I'm very impressed with how you pronounce Trattoria. That was really good. So yeah, this is going to take me about 30 seconds to get used to not seeing anybody's expressions or people in the room. I'm used to speaking to, the tables in the restaurants, and it's been a very big change, big challenge, and heartbreaking, because what we do is service and provide that experience for people, and we had to come to a halt, just like every other small business did in America, pretty much. For O.N.E Hospitality Group, we were in a huge growth spurt. We still are. As you mentioned, the different restaurants that we have downtown, with Aviano's being our brand new baby, no pun intended, that is my son's name, and the restaurant is named after him. Yeah, we just opened about a month right before we were forced to shut down, rightfully so. The excitement and anticipation of opening up a new restaurant is a thrill that I strive to accomplish often in the strive of becoming a hospitality group. Why hospitality group? Well, we're also in the midst of designing and creating a boutique hotel on the corner of George and Market Street at 1 South George Street. So this group has been very active and involved in building a lot of brand recognition and storefronts in the community downtown, and opportunity has been presenting itself outside of town so we can go make money elsewhere and continue to dump it into the city. So we love what we have going on down here, and the Cantina was ready and primed for opening season. May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, was going to be a huge party with, band outside, and we had an influx of a lot of patrons last year. So we were anticipating the best, and we had to completely stop everything on March 17th. And that was the St. Patrick's Day parade day, and the actual day that we launched the York City Trolley. So we are the group behind the York City Trolley that was creating motion downtown on St. Patrick's Day, and we were trying to keep up the the excitement and the encouragement to come downtown. And then in the back office, we're scrambling and hearing rumors that this is coming and we need to, you know, take precaution. I have mentors in this industry that are in New York City, Philadelphia, Florida, Las Vegas. And what I was hearing from them was that change is going to happen and it's going to be drastic and you got to figure out how to pivot. So within a 48-hour time span, our whole team met up, and I have about 15 people in my corporate structure, and we oversee all of the operations in all of the restaurants, and we plan and strategize our next move together. And it's taken me the entire 6 years that we've been open to find and train and get to know this team. And I have a bunch of lifers with me now, and it was my priority to keep them on the payroll. It was my priority to maintain the momentum that we were working so hard to create downtown, and reinvesting every dollar we'd make. So we'd make 5 at Two Toni's and I'd spend it at Cantina. And then in the middle, we did taste tests to kind of mitigate all of the having to do it ourselves and provide opportunity for other restaurateurs to help build the blueprint that is the food scene downtown. So yeah, it was my priority to keep that momentum going. And in our wheelhouse, we've created every kind of way that you could sell a noodle. So we did the math. Each noodle we make ourselves in-house. So we have the machines, we have a commissary that allows us to make this pasta. So I don't know if a few of you have tasted it or not at your own home by purchasing the pounds that we sell at Urban Herd. But that was something that we've been doing for about 3 years now. And we were structuring and ramping up to start a wholesale pasta line. So conversations with Cisco have already been happening for a couple of years now, and conversations with the Albertsons Group, which is one of the biggest retailers of groceries. So we were already in the planning and execution phases of bringing out our retail pasta line as Two Toni's Flower Shop. And Presto came from that concept. So Presto allotted us an opportunity to provide quick service pasta as an option with something that we accidentally stumbled upon when we opened up Two Toni's, which was the fresh noodle. What's unique about our product is that it has a 3 to 5 minute cook time because it is literally only 2 ingredients, being water and flour. The machines that we have that we found when we first opened up Two Toni's is a company right out of Lancaster that produces them. It's a husband and wife. They came over from Italy and they produce it here and distribute it around the nation to save costs. So we kind of partnered up 5 years ago when they opened and developed a relationship from there and have their unique equipment that gives us an opportunity to make a special noodle that kind of cornered the market because nobody else is really offering just a basic rigatoni or spaghetti or linguine or fettuccine because it hasn't been done yet in a volume scale. So that's what we're going after, aside from all of the restaurants. So Presto is like in the middle of Two Toni's, which is our high end. Cantina is our fun location that, you know, is the summertime spot because downtown Two Toni's summertime is not a destination location. Nobody wants heavy, dark food all year round, and I understand that. So we pivoted there. So what I'm trying to get across is that that's what we do. O.N.E pivots. We find an opportunity and we make the most of it and take advantage. So yeah, I'm a restaurant owner, but I'm a business person in the back end and see where the numbers work. So we saw that retail pasta was absolutely where our margin is. We're selling a product that you would pay for and experience in any of our restaurants off of our rigatoni food trucks. So the rigatoni, which is the best name ever for a food truck, by the way. I'm so proud of that name. Two Toni's is pretty clever too. If anybody out there doesn't know, it's after me and my ex-husband, who's very much still my partner. Two Toni's, his name's also Tony. And then the rigatoni was born from that. And we put it on the road. We said, all right, we have a food truck, let's go door to door. There's a pandemic happening. There are people who are not coming downtown. There are people who are not leaving their homes. We started doing grocery delivery out of our commissary. Let's take it one step further and bring it to them. They come out right out of their front door, come to the end of the driveway, social distancing at its finest. And there's another option for food that you had to cook out of the 7 days a week that everybody had to cook 3 meals a day. We know how tedious and daunting that can get. So we wanted to provide a different meal and keep ourselves very relevant and in business. So one bag at a time, one noodle at a time, we kept our ship sailing, and the numbers kept coming in, and we saw that we couldn't keep up with the demand. Our social media and our team on our marketing division is incredible, and the communication has been on point. So we've been talking to different neighborhoods and asking them to get a hold of their groups on however they communicate and get permission and the heads up that we're coming. And every day, 7 days a week, our truck would go out and hit the pavement, literally, and sell door to door. And that idea came because I was watching that new Netflix series, Made in America, the billionaire story that she was selling her hair cream products door to door. And it was inspiring. I couldn't even get through the first episode. I said, I know what we're doing. This is what we're doing with our pasta. And my whole team's like, oh, Jesus, Toni, can we just have a break? I'm like, no, we got to keep it moving. So yeah, that came to fruition. And now we have 4 trucks on the road. There was no way to buy vehicles during that time. We figured it out. Went to Maryland. They were able to do it for us. We went to another location in Pennsylvania when they opened up right away, and we were able to do another one. And impressive signs were impressive, and they turned around our wraps immediately. And we're trying our best to keep up with supply and demand. So yeah, it was something that was already in motion. We just pivoted. We took our wholesale pasta line and put it on steroids, and it's been our main saving grace, and the support from the community. And ironically enough, which I knew this would happen, we're hitting a whole different demographic that otherwise does not come downtown because of all the reasons that we're aware of, or because, you know, they're soccer moms and they've got a lot of work to do with their kids and they can't make it downtown, or they can't get the sitter. So we dropped off pasta and now everybody's hooked. So they got to see what we're trying to do downtown, and we created a lot more awareness and of our brand. So that felt good too. And the interaction was great, because if I couldn't see people and talk to people this whole time, I'd go nuts. So I jump on the trucks from time to time, and I'm out there saying hey and thanking everybody for, you know, really showing the effort to support small business. And yeah, so that's been fun, and part of the book that I'll write one day. A horrible situation for a lot of small business owners. My heart bleeds. You know, built on small business. My grandfather's in the mural behind me with the first pizza shop in York County. As an immigrant, you know, he built his business from the ground up. And I'm lucky that I'm 3rd generation to have been born and raised around entrepreneurs. And I know how hard it is to get started up, let alone to continue to do it, let alone to recover from this. So my small business heart really bleeds, because it's unfortunate. Even restaurants opening up at 20% capacity right now doesn't pay the bills. 6 feet social distancing, yeah, we'll comply to all the CDC guidelines, but it's really still devastating to only be able to serve that volume. We're a cash flow based industry, and it's a very hard industry to learn about. It's kind of one of those things when you jump in, you learn real quick. They're 15-hour days, they're paycheck to paycheck, high stress, very, very variable driven. So many different things could happen in 5 minutes. So when you only have 15 seats, when you're used to your, you know, in our case, so Two Toni's, for example, Two Toni's seats 105. At 25 people in our restaurant at 20%, my numbers are off, but for sake of numbers, it doesn't pay the bills. I mean, it costs me a break-even analysis of $15,000 a week just to open my doors and pay my payroll. And I can't do that with that many turns and that many people. But for sake of keeping things moving and the the awareness that it could provide the city that, hey, we're still down here trying to make this thing happen when all this is over. We'll figure out ways to pay for it. But my fear is for the people who don't have that other stream of income, and in our case, several streams of income that we've set ourselves up to have as we were in development phase of the growth spurt we're under. My fear is, how do we come together as a community to keep these businesses that are the fabric of our communities alive? So I mentioned before with Taste Test and what that was as a platform when I spoke with you guys the last time you were very nice to invite me to speak to you about. Taste Test was to provide at the end game a way to, equity crowdfund this concept, this idea. So Raised Steak has always been the forefront and behind the scenes of what O.N.E is going to leave behind. Restaurants are great, but what do I leave behind as an entrepreneur's kid to provide an opportunity for everybody else who's trying to survive this small business America based on, you see the squeeze that corporate America does to us. Olive Garden had 1,900 dinners on Mother's Day alone, and downtown York was happy to have 0.001% of that. So corporate America and small America it's still a struggle that's very real. Through this, I feel that it's going to be one that is very, very real. So Raised Steak will provide an opportunity for local owned restaurants to be able to showcase what it is that they do and offer equity in what they provide. So as you saw, which was really cool how this all happened actually for me for research. As you saw when all of this happened, the shutdown started happening, there were a lot of gift card support, and we had a lot of support from our community. I'm very gracious and thankful for that. And what you would realize is that you're buying into an experience that one day you're going to receive, hopefully that they come back to give that to you. So what I've been developing with raisedsteak.com is that you're buying into the success of this restaurant that you have to eat at anyway. Everybody has to eat. So you're going to get this experience, and everybody's into a rewards program nowadays. And the Kickstarters and the GoFundMes have already built an anticipation for what I'm going to provide. But it's a way that we can continue to do what we do, and then you have equity in what we're doing. You're going to support us anyway, and then you get a return on your investment. And then on my end as a restaurateur, I'm paying you back in food costs. So there's a lot to this brand and this concept, and I hope you invite me back yet again when I launch that to explain it in very much depth, because I know that it's going to be a game changer, and I know that it's going to be helpful, especially after these hard times. But yeah, O.N.E is more than just your two Tonis and your Avianas and your Cantina, but we would be nowhere if it wasn't for all of you. Yeah, so a wrap up of everything we have going on. We've pivoted from two Tonis, Aviana's Cantina, the growth of Presto. We have 3 stores right now. We're about to open up Brewster's off of Carlisle in front of Lowe's, which is the highest volume right now, for drive-through pasta. So we will continue to follow the guidelines, provide the safest way of dining as we can possibly do. That'll be open in the next couple weeks, actually. We're moving quickly on that. Again, that's the old Brewster's location right in front of Lowe's off of Carlisle. So that's happening. We have the market stand in the Lidditz Market in front of the Wilbur Hotel. We have the 3 rigatoni trucks that are out, one being the hot food truck that's landing in people's neighborhoods with our little Bambino booze truck, which is fun since they offered us an opportunity to be able to sell to-go liquor. So we found out ways to do that. And then now on Friday, we're trying on Saturday, Friday or Saturday, we have a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we're trying to get accomplished for opening up the outside space. The restaurants downtown are working together with the mayor to possibly do an open container and outdoor dining, which is very, very cool. So that's coming up. The The rigs will be out on the road even after this pandemic, because I told you how it reached a whole different demographic, and we're going after retail pasta anyway. So this is pretty cool. I'm trying to be the Kylie Jenner of pasta, how she totally deleted the middleman and she went direct to her customer and kept all of the profit. Brilliant. She got on the cover of Forbes before me. I'm a little upset about that, but I'm planning on getting there with pasta and the equity crowdfunding and the support of the community that built my family to begin with. So I can keep talking to an empty room for probably hours, which is what I've just realized along this ride too. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for trying us out from the first day, exactly 6 years ago. We opened exactly 6 years ago, like a week ago, and continuing to support. And before I let you go, I just really want to touch base on what happened last night in our community. Downtown York has had a rap, and I'm going to speak about it because I'm in the middle of it, literally. And I have believed in a city that could rebuild and regrow for a very long time with a whole group of people who felt the same way. And I was worried, and I mentioned to Philip Given, who is right hand to the mayor, that I was scared. And it was in basis of what was about to happen downtown. I was scared, not for my buildings, not for the bricks, not for the glass windows, not for anything that I built that was already there before, but for what we were about to find out, if everything that we've been working on collectively together, if we have done a good job or a bad job at unifying the city. And I might get emotional, but what we realized last night as I went downtown to put the Black Lives Matter posters all over my buildings is that love conquers all. And what happened last night when pressure was high, tensions were high, what could happen from this? You know what happened is we all stood together and we said enough. So as a community, I've heard for so long now, why are you opening up in the city? It's so dangerous down there. Why I'm not going down to the city. I won't park, I won't walk. That's the problem. That is the problem, and it's got to stop. It's systemic stereotyping, it's racism, it's whatever it is. And I'll get on my soapbox because I hear it from both sides every day that I'm down here. I serve Cantina and I serve 2 Tonys, and I think it's very important that you guys as patrons, and especially this room with so much influence and the good that we're all doing, continue to do that, because I'll tell you what, last night it was history. There was no crime, no lashing out. There was anger, there was frustration, and there was validation, and there was concern, and there was compassion. And if we can continue to do that, I think and know that this city will flourish in a million more ways after what happened last night, just based on not becoming a stereotype gathering. It was beautiful. So yeah, love your neighbor, protect each other, wear your masks, don't wear your masks. That's all controversial too. But we're here to serve you. We're here to provide you whatever service you need. Can't wait to help you make your memories again in our spaces, and can't wait to serve you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Toni. Appreciate it. So we've got some questions here for you, if you'd be so kind as to help us out with some Q&A.
Absolutely.
Cool. So first question is do you have any inside information or knowledge about when sit-down dining is going to be able to be reopened so that restaurants like yours and the others can kind of get back to the numbers of seats and turns that you need?
Absolutely. So I don't know when we're going in green. It's all up in the air. I know as much as you guys know, changes all the time. Yellow phase, we're allowed to serve as many tables as we could fit outside in our parameter, as long as they're 6 feet apart. So outside dining can start as early as Friday this week, and can go on until we're able to go to green, which allows us 25 or 50% occupancy indoors. So you're allowed outside first for obvious reasons, and then as soon as we inch to green, we have to separate the space, obviously move tables around, or don't seat. I went around the clock and they weren't seating, which was nice. And that's when that starts this weekend on the 5th.
Cool. I think everybody's kind of looking forward to getting back to a little bit of normalcy here.
I hear you.
Great, but not the same.
I know, I hear you.
Okay, next question. There's two people with the same question. Can you tell us a little bit more about the hotel planned on the square?
Yeah, I kind of let you guys know first insight. I haven't even let the YDR pick up that story yet. Yeah, so I mean, I was looking for a space to do a boutique hotel at 2 West a while back, and 1 South became available. It was the Northwest Mutual, so it was already staged for the individual offices, which would create the perfect space for boutique. I signed a contract with Warehouse. They're going to be designing the fit out for it. Very excited about that. We actually did that in the middle of the pandemic. And yeah, so it will be, the first floor right now is rented out to Di Pasquale. And after he is done his candidacy, we're going to be taking over that space and making a ramen sushi restaurant, which is pretty exciting. And the second floor is our one venue. So it's a whole venue space, a wide open space, and beautiful 6-foot door or windows, the entire view of the square. It's gorgeous. And then third and fourth floor will be rooms. So we'll have 10 rooms available, and boutique, very high-end, warm toilet seats, because I experienced that at a casino and we have to have it in York. You know, top of the line decor, just like we do at King George and other concepts we do. We're experienced providers. And then the 5th floor will remain my offices because, you know, I like being on the 5th floor and overlooking my beautiful city. So that's the plan. It'll be Boutique 1, and we're looking to start developing that as soon as we get the plans done. So it's happening soon.
That sounds awesome. How long do you think it'll take to go and do all that fit out to actually turn it into opening?
So currently working with the SBA on a 7A, which during the pandemic, that is also posed a challenge because we're restaurant driven for our income and they want to kind of wait out the storm. So it all depends on when we can close that deal and get the whole budget together to be able to prepare that, because I don't want to cut corners on this one. I want it to be top notch because York deserves that.
That'll be really cool. So you'll have the restaurant cornered at several different corners.
Yep.
You'll have a hotel at a different corner. You're starting to be like Royal Square.
I am over here in Royal Square. Yeah, they're the developers, and then I figure out the storefronts. I'm trying to be like a Michael Solomonov of York City or a Steven Starr of York City.
We'll look forward to it. That'll be awesome.
Hey, thank you very much. Look forward to serving you, because I don't ever go to my restaurants to eat. If I eat one more taco or noodle, I'm gonna explode.
All right, next question. Did you apply for or receive PPP money, and do you feel that more needs to be done on the part of the federal government or state government for small business support?
Oh, yes, baby. We did apply for the PPP. We did receive it for all of our concepts that we had payroll on, which has been a relief. All of the stipulations that go with it. I have a full-time financial team that's back behind me. It's not just me going, hey, let's spend our money here. Like, hey, let's do that. We're very strategic. So Heather actually is my CFO, and she has done nothing but study and prepare and apply and research all of the loans and relief that have been out there. So we applied for the PPP and received that at a local level through York Traditions, which have been awesome. And then we applied for the EIDL, the Disaster Relief Fund. They were giving out $10,000 grants in the beginning of that. We were the first of 18,000 applicants in the beginning of it nationwide. So she was on it. And we received that for each location, and then some disaster relief loans that we've received. So we have our strategic plan on paying those back when they do start next year, and the PPP funds have been able to allow us to breathe, to pay our payroll, and the money that we are making off of the trucks is going to allow us the cash that we need to open each concept, because I have 6 concepts, and each concept costs a minimum of $25,000 to get started again, because you have to buy all of the inventory, you have to get all the labor in to get retrained, and it's very front loaded. So, and then by the time the cash flow comes in, we're looking at a big investment to get back open. So we are so happy and relieved to get those funds. For for people who didn't have financial people on their payroll, I think that the government needs to do more to help them, because they did say that they had it capped and it was spent already, and that's not fair. So yeah, they've got work to do if they want to see small business continue to pay taxes.
Next question is, how do we know when the rigatoni truck would be anywhere where we are?
Good
So how do we
question.
have tabs on where your trucks are?
So we have an Instagram page, the Rigatoni Truck. If you don't have Instagram, you could still go to instagram.com/rigatoni truck. We have live trackers on each of the vehicles when they're out. And we are putting yard signs in the front and inside the neighborhoods and locations that we're going to be in for the week. And we have a schedule posted, and there's communication of, if you are looking for us to come to your neighborhood and we have not been there yet, you can email us at onehospitality.group, or you can get a hold of us on any of the social media outlets, because our crew is watching it very, very closely.
Sounds good. We'll look forward to it.
Thank you.
So, question is, with restaurants being some of the hardest hit businesses, and I think everybody's aware of just how hard it's been for hospitality in general, do you think all of the restaurants that you have, plus others in the downtown area of York, will be able to survive? And what level of success do you think will occur coming out of the shutdowns?
So in my opinion, I believe that everybody who is involved in the shutdown downtown will come back from this. The communication has been very strong in our restaurant chat group. Everybody is coming up with plans, and we're all trying to be as you know, we've always been working collectively to keep the buzz downtown, because we've all worked very hard to keep people interested and involved in what's happening down here. So my restaurants, I know I'm okay. We have been on top of the plan from day one. Other restaurants, I think they're going to be okay. It's just a matter of when this grip of you can't open stops, because you can go to Lowe's and look at all of the appliances and buy yourself a lot of things you don't need right now just because you're bored, but you can't come to the restaurants yet. It's been a struggle and a challenge and a frustrating and aggravating, but if they release a lot of the reasons why you can't, then it will definitely help us if it happens sooner than later, because the longer this goes on, the longer it's going to be to recoup.
So you just mentioned that you talk a lot with the other restaurateurs downtown. Is there a coalition or anything that you have? Can you talk a little bit about how that's working?
Oh yeah, we have a restaurant association that's downtown, and yeah, we all pay our dues to be a part of it, and it's our communication. But Facebook Messenger has really been the way to go right now, with just, hey, what do you guys think about this? And hey, what's your date for that? And did you see this? And a lot of PPP and EIDL information on there. And right now, the strategic plan that Mandy Arnold from Left Bank has kind of taken the lead on, and the Handsome Cab has been communicating, and Jess from Revival, sorry, Jess from Revival, and so on and so on for the reopenings on George Street. There's a strategic game plan to open up outdoor seating that's currently happening, and we're working with Downtown Inc. on the Bloom Grant to be able to receive some funds to pull off some seating down there. And the mayor has been very helpful in trying to help us to get a plan and an initiative with all of the proper authorities that would have to give us our approvals to do so. So yeah, there's a camaraderie down here. It definitely feels good to be part of this group.
So when you're working with the city, do you expect there to be some strategic street closures or things like that coming up in the near future to facilitate the outdoor dining?
Yes, absolutely. So what we're talking about, and it's not been confirmed, but what we're talking about is the street in front of the 100 block of North George, where all four of the restaurants, or not all of them, there's a lot of restaurants around downtown that I think should have street closures, but it's starting with the 100 block to see how it goes, implementing different traffic patterns on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe even Sunday, and allowing those closures to happen after 5 p.m. and allowing us to provide as much sit down, oh, I forgot gift horse, sorry, gift horse, and as much sit down as possible with expanding upon the 6-foot separation rule, allowing as much volume as possible so we can start our cash flow. So that's supposed to be happening around the weekend of July 5th. It takes some planning, obviously, but even still, it's another month out, so it's kind of worrisome there. We got to move now, in my opinion. I don't sit for nothing. It's got to be now or it shouldn't happen.
So as you work with the other restaurants, can you talk a little bit about the collaboration where you might have, say, a beer that was made by one of the other local businesses and they might have your noodles in their restaurants, et cetera?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's an awesome theory. Other cities are doing it in other areas, and how you can provide that is open container law. That would solve everything. Doesn't mean that the whole city would have it, just in strategic locations, obviously, where it would work. But yeah, there's a lot of controversy online about the open container being put into play. But somebody, one of my regulars, made a very good point that if I trust you to carry a gun, I should be able to trust you to carry a beer. Which, I mean, it's controversial any way you look at it, but it would definitely help the businesses to do an open container to where you could buy a glass of wine from the Handsome Cab, and you could love on some noodles from Two Tony's, and then have a dessert from Left Bank, or some oysters from Rockfish, or a beer from Gift Horse. I mean, it would be not only a cool thing to experience and a reason to bring volume down to the city, it's a conversation piece, it's newsworthy, it gets us all of the momentum we would need in order to serve our tables. So it's a lot more than just, hey, I could get you that $12 drink that I'll make a profit off of, sure, a little bit, $5 at the end of the day. But what does it mean for a bigger widespread? It's like a pebble in a pond. That would be the conversation piece that would get people to want to come downtown to experience that. Because when we do the Beaver Street dinner, the Farm to City dinner that O.N.E helps support for the buy local, it's a huge event, 200 tickets, and people love eating in the middle of the street. So it worked, it's tried, it's true. Let's do it to help save our restaurants.
So it's time for one last question. And the question is about your taste test concept that you had. So had a lot of different cool restaurants in there trying it out. And Hamir's is probably the best example of success. And for anybody who's not been to Hamir's, you definitely have to check him out. But can you talk about what worked in that concept and what didn't work in that concept of taste tests, so we can understand sort of how some of those folks made it, some of them didn't?
Absolutely. Taste test is not dead in our eyes. It just costs a lot of money. We couldn't afford to keep it going. But it was a huge success in the fact that 28 different concepts came through. I believe 3 or 4 of them are still up and running. Hamir's, obviously, at a local level has been the best one to come out, but that is because Hamir was Hamir. He had the following before he came into taste test, but what he realized is, little kinks that can work out in the restaurant industry and what it is. So we provided a safe space. My friend Doug Knight actually explained it the best. Provided a trampoline and not a safety net. So we had this built-in community of followers. We allowed an incubation space for a concept to come through. My partners at the time and myself provided mentorship for the restaurateurs and pretty much, a crash course in what it means to become a restaurant owner. At the same time, we were protecting the everything closes in the city mentality and providing a safe space for pop-ups to come and go. And should the restaurateur find out it wasn't for them, or if it was for them, they didn't have to ruin their entire life savings, their lien on their house, or whatever it took to get there. Or they didn't have to make such a commitment to, trying to make something work that they didn't want to do. So Taste Test was very much a passion project. We loved it and hated every minute of it because it was a challenge at every second. We were opening a new restaurant every weekend, pretty much, and we were running 2 sides. So it was a huge undertaking at the time of Two Tony's only being 3.5 years old, and I obviously have a lot of plans and goals, and it's not over yet. We're going to make it happen in a virtual way. We're going to make it happen in a physical way, and we're going to make it happen in more cities. We did gain a lot of attention and traction from Food Network wanted to do a series on us. So it was cool. It was unique, and it'll come back within time. Louis Appel, I'll say it again, told me I'm too young and too broke to be a philanthropist. So I got work to do.
Well, we will look forward to that, because I know a lot of our members enjoyed that concept, and just seeing different restaurants coming in and out regularly was great for the city and all that you've done. So, hey, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Yes.
And also thank you very much for having some food delivered to my office. While you were speaking, I had about half of a meatball sub, which is fabulous.
I love it. Good.
Salad. So all fellow Rotarians, please get support our local restaurants, our local businesses. Do everything you can to make sure that our downtown environment is vibrant and continues to be so for the foreseeable future. Toni, thanks so much.
Thanks,
and
guys.
Your presentation today, we are going to be donating the book called Other Words for Home by Jasmine Warga. And this book will be donated to the York Suburban Middle School Library. And we will make sure that you get to sign the book plate in this book, and we will donate it to the library. So thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you around downtown.
Thanks, guys.
Rotarians, thank you for joining us today. And next week, we will be joined by Patrick Shorb, who is the president and founder of Holla Spirits. You probably have had Holla Vodka at some point or another, or you might have had it in a mixed drink at a local restaurant without even necessarily knowing that you had it. He'll be here to talk about what Holla's doing, the drinks that they're making, and all the different things going on in the liquor and spirits world. So don't miss it. Until then, thanks again for joining us today. It's been a great June 3rd, and we'll see you on the 10th. This meeting is adjourned.